अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So we are going to continue with our study on Tattvat Sutra. And Himali, you try if you can generate a YouTube link as a trial. I
So,
made you a post. Yeah.
Are you already live on YouTube?
Yeah, I am on live on YouTube. So we finished aphorism number 15 last week, but we are going to repeat 13, 14 and 15 again to know the process, how it goes into the sensory knowledge, Mati Gyan. Okay. So in verse number 15, the first steps that come into the process of Mati Gyan is Avgraha, general impression. Of course, before Avgraha, there is a Darshan Upyog, that is perception. So first perceptions happens, but in perception, you are not able to know what it is, right? It's just a general impression. Then next comes is Avagraha. Avagraha means there is something white colored or something like that, but you are not able to make out what it is, whether it is a duck or a flag. Then you have a curiosity, which is called Iha. Okay. So the next step is curiosity. And then Augra Iha Avai. Avai is the step of judgment. Okay. So in that judgment, that is called Avai, the decision making is done that this is duck or this is white flag. Okay. Now, up to this also, there is no guarantee that you will remember. Then comes the next phase, next step, that is retention. If it goes to the level of retention, then you will be able to recall it in future. Every day we come across many knowable objects all the time. How many do we remember? It's like just driving a car and there are people going on the left side and right side and you are still driving. Although you are seeing the people, but you don't remember who was that. Even if somebody is known to you, that also you don't, you are not able to recognize, right? So similarly, in our knowledge process, that is sensory knowledge, this kind of process is progressive. It's a progressive process, you know. So first Avgraha, then Iha, curiosity, then an Avai, judgment, and then retention. Now whatever comes to the retention level, that only will come in the memory, smruti. Okay. So that is called memory or recollection. Then what comes in smruti, that goes to recognition, pratyabhigyan, connecting knowledge. Okay. And what goes into recognition, that only comes into the reflection. That is pervasion based reasoning logic. Okay. It is called reflection. In Hindi, it is called chinta, tark. Okay. So it is based on pervasion. Okay. Where there is smoke, there must be fire. Where there is no smoke, there could not be fire. Something like that, reasoning. Okay. Then comes the last step is inference, anuman. Okay. In anuman, this anuman is not a guesswork, as we say anuman in the general sense. This is a very scientifically proven anuman, inference. It's based on the reasoning. Okay. So next step after the anuman is the self-realization. So whoever goes through self-realization, they go through these processes. Only thing is that we were not aware of the names. Okay, so self-realization also happens in subhuman state. An elephant can have self-realization, a lion can have self-realization, right? So do they know all these names? No, they don't know. They even don't know the name of the 7 fundamental elements, but still they are able to manifest right belief. How? Because they know this process. In their previous birth, they had studied the scriptures, they have known the process. Now they don't remember the name, but the process remains with them, and that is they have progress and go up to self-realization. Okay, so this process has to be understood. Okay, once we understand this process, I will give you an example. What is the purpose of knowing all this? Okay, with one example, I will give you. The example is about like when you start learning driving, right? Driving a car. So how do you learn? First, you have to identify, oh, this is clutch, this is brake, this is accelerator, you know, and with time and practice, you are so smooth in driving the car that if there is a congestion in the traffic, you slow down the car. If it requires to be stopped, you put on the brakes. If it requires to be accelerated, you do that, okay, without looking anything. How is this possible? Because once you have known the process, okay, and then with practice, you have mastered it. So now it's so smooth sailing. You are also driving the car, simultaneously you are listening to the music on the deck, and simultaneously you are talking with somebody also. All these happening simultaneously. How? Because you, if you know the process, you'll be able to do it. Okay. So similarly here, this process in the sensory knowledge is very interesting, and once you understand it, then you are relaxed. Everything happens automatically. Now we are learning so many principles here, like the principles of 5 souls distinctive disposition. Then last week we had studied about char abhav, 4 kinds of non-existence, right? All these principles helps us when you want to practice discriminative knowledge. Okay, then when a situation arises in your life, some adverse situation, and at that point of time, normally we would have manifested anger, pride, deceit, or greed, some kind of passions. But just because you have this knowledge, so at that point of time, you will be applying these principles. Okay, and while applying these principles, you will be able to not to manifest anger, not to manifest any kind of passions. Now, not manifesting any passions means you are manifesting detachment, passionlessness, vitrakta. Okay, so this happens automatically because you have known the process, how it is to be done. So it's all becomes mechanical at some point of time. Initially, you have to learn it, you have to master it, and then it becomes very automatic, sahaj, natural, spontaneous. Okay, so this is the use of knowing this process. It's a very important process, and worldwide philosophy, this topic is one of the hottest discussion, and everywhere they are not able to justify. Everyone has done research on this. Buddhist, you say Vedant, all the different popular philosophies in the world have written books on this. Okay, but nobody has the right interpretations. Nobody has the right understanding. Why? Because our knowledge is based on Sarvagna. This is so subtle that it is not our capacity to comprehend in our Mati Shuddh Gyan. But since Omniscience in his Keval Gyan has known all this, and through his Divya Dvani, this has come, and through Divya Dvani to Gandhar, and Gandhar to Acharyas, and in that lineage it has come to us in the form of scriptures. Okay, so the main source is the Tirthankar, the Divya Dvani, the Omniscience. Okay, so we are able to prove everything. Everything is so logical, everything is so justified that there is not an iota of doubt anywhere. Okay, but in other religions, it is all Mati Shuddh Gyani, those who have written the books, and they have given their own reasoning, but at some point of time, either they contradict each other or it doesn't satisfy the we can say the level of valid knowledge. It doesn't come to the level of valid knowledge. It never becomes a praman. Okay. So once it's become a valid knowledge, then there is no fault in it. It's a right knowledge. Okay. So this is something unique in Jainism. And if you go deep into this topic, like this Tattva Sutra is a very elementary commentary here, but there are many deep commentaries on this, like Sarvat Siddhi, then we have Shatkhandagam, and then we have uh, Tattvarth Rajvartik, many big scriptures. Many details are available on this Matigyan. Okay. So if somebody is interested in conquering the world, the philosophies of the world, then you go deep into it and then you can present a logical explanation to all these. Okay. But we are not going to do that. So this was all about 13th, 14th, and 15th aphorisms. In short, it's a repetition. Again, I would like to touch the 14th one. The mind and senses are instrumental in sensory knowledge. Aphorism 14 says that the mind and senses are instrumental in sensory knowledge. So sensory knowledge and scriptural knowledge are direct knowledge or indirect knowledge? Which one it is? Emali. Jia?
Indirect.
Indirect. Very good. Why?
Because you need to use other senses.
It mediates through 5 senses and mind. That's why it is direct knowledge. And the direct knowledge is one which directly emanates from the soul. Okay, from the different space points of the soul. So that is a direct knowledge. So the clairvoyance, the telepathic, and the omniscience are direct knowledge. Again, in direct knowledge, we have 2 divisions. One is partial direct knowledge, like clairvoyance and telepathic knowledge. Okay, and the omniscient is a complete direct knowledge. Okay, so instrumentally of sense and mind is sensory knowledge. Now we move on to the 16th one. So what this knowledge will know, those objects are of 12 kinds. Okay. What is 12 kinds? The objects are of 12 kinds. Okay. And who is going to know this? This whole knowledge, Avgra, Iha, Avai, Dharana, then Smriti, memory, then Pratyabhigyan, recognitions, and then Tark, Chinta, okay, which is inference based reasoning, okay, and that is also called reflection, okay, and the last one is inference. So all these know the substances, and those substances are of 12 types. That is what the aphorism number 16, 17 says, okay. So 6 are positive side and 6 are negative side. So total it comes to 12. Okay. So we'll start with that 16 and 17 aphorisms, and Amitaji, you can read. Yeah.
The elements that are the subject matter of sensation, avagraha. Those substances which are known through sensory perception, inquiry, etc., or of 12 types. The related aphorisms are as follows. Bahu Bahu, Vida, Kshipra, Nishitra, Nisita, Anukta, Dhruvanam, Kshetranam, Arthasya. The 6 types of substances, many, manifold, swift, non-originated, unexpressed, and permanent, along with their opposites, one of a single kind, not swift, originated, expressed, and impermanent, together constitute the 12 types of substances that are known in Matignana through the sensory knowledge, beginning with initial perception, etc.
Top. So I'll just do the corrections right now only. So the first line, those substances which are known through sensory perception. So it is sensation. What we call it as sensation. Augra is sensation. Then, comma, it is curiosity, not inquiry. We use curiosity. Then the third step would be judgment, then retention. Okay. And we go on like that. So those are of 12 types. So what is of 12 types? The knowledge or the substance? The substances are of 12 type. Okay. So only it will go through this process of Augra, Iha, Avai, Dharana. Okay. And that is what we are going to study. Now, the 6 types of substances are, that also we will standardize the terminology. Many, manifold is okay. Swift is also okay. Non-originated would be non-emerged. You could do the correction. Non-emerged. Then unexpressed is okay. Or it's okay. Then permanent. Permanent would be stable. Okay. Dhruv, stable. Along with their opposites, one is okay. Single kind is okay. Not swift is okay. Not origination would be emerged. Express is okay. And impermanent would be non-stable. Okay. So these are the changes, because further they will use these words only. So let's standardize the terminology. So in future, we don't have any ambiguity about those. Okay. Now you continue.
Page 48. Hemali,
No,
am I
47. Now
reading
it
it?
is 47.
Sorry. Thank you. These classifications, such as many and so on, are distinctions of substance. The knowledge that comprehends these distinctions in the prescribed manner is called sensory knowledge, mati gnana. The nature of these 12 distinctions is summarized as follows. 1. Many means a lot. It can be understood from the perspective of number or quantity. For example, many people refer to numbers, while a lot of lentils refers to quantity. 2. One or few means a little or small in number amount. This too can be viewed in two ways: in terms of number, such as few people or one person, and in terms of quantity, such as little lentils or one substance. 3. Of many kinds refers to substances of many types in terms of number and quantity. For example, various types of grains like wheat, lentils, etc. 4. Of one kind refers to the substances of a single type in terms of number and quantity. For example, only one kind of rice. In many, thank you, Himali. In many and one, the classification by category or species is not considered, whereas in many kinds and of one kind, the category is considered. This is the key difference between these two pairs. Swift refers either to the quick cognition of substances or to the knowledge of objects that move very rapidly. For example, the knowledge of a person moving at a high speed. Page 48. Not swift refers to the knowledge of substances that occurs gradually or the knowledge of objects that move slowly. Not emerge means not revealed. A substance that remains completely hidden is called not emerge. Anis, an, Anihista. And even if a part of it remains hidden, it is still referred to as non-emerged. For example, if an elephant is completely submerged in a river and one becomes aware of its presence by observing the mosquitoes hovering over the water's surface, such knowledge is considered not emerged. Anihista, sensory knowledge, mati gnan. Similarly, if only the elephant's trunk emerges from the river and the knowledge is gained, and the knowledge gained is not just of the trunk, but of the whole elephant. Along with the trunk, it is still considered not emerged, anista sensory knowledge. Emerged means revealed or emerged. When the entire elephant has come out of the river and is fully visible, the knowledge of it is called emerged, nihista, sensory knowledge. Unspoken refers to a substance that remains implicit or has not been verbally expressed. For example, When the eye perceives salt or sugar, and at the same time there is awareness of its taste, that knowledge is considered unspoken knowledge. Spoken, thank you, Emily. Spoken refers to a substance that has been expressed or described. For example, this fruit is sweet. Stable refers to substances that remain for a long time or the continued cognition of a substance in the same form over a period of time. Such sustained knowledge is called stable sensory knowledge. Unstable is the opposite of stable. These 12 types are the distinctions of those substances which are known through sensory knowledge.
Stop.
16 and 17.
Yeah. So stop. So two words have been, we have to correct two words. Unspoken would be unexpressed and spoken would be expressed. That is what we finalized in the earlier page when we started the aphorism. So now we have got a very standard numbers. Now these are the 12 distinctions of the substances which are to be known by the sensory knowledge. Okay. So 12 categories of substance. There are some substances which are which we can say many. Many means a lot. Number of quantity, or it could be referred to as with a lot of lentils referred to quantity. Okay, many people refers to numbers and then lot of lentils refers to quantity. So it could be many numbers or quantity. Then one or few. One or few means a little or a small in number amount. Similarly, of many kinds refers to substance of many types in terms of number and quantity. One would be again the same. So the difference between these categories is where in many and one, the classification by category or species is not considered. Whereas in many kinds and one kind, the category is considered. This is the key difference between these two pairs. Then there are some substances which are referred to as swift, refers either in the quick cognitions of substance, like those substances which are on moving. To know those substance, we use the word swift. So knowledge of a person moving at high speed is an example of swift. Then not swift refers to the knowledge of substance that occurs gradually, or the knowledge of objects that move slowly. Okay. So knowledge of objects that move very fast, knowledge of objects that move slowly. Then not immersed, like elephant, you are only seeing a trunk, so it is not immersed. And when that elephant comes out of the water fully, then it is immersed. Similarly, unexpressed, expressed, stable, unstable. Okay. So these 12 types are the distincts of those substances which are known through sensory knowledge. So 12, and then we will see this calculation how it works out to 336. Okay. So before that, we have to know what is the nature of the sensation. Okay. So this sensation is of two types. One, Vyanjanavagraha, that is called indistinct sensation. And then there is Arthavagraha, which is called distinct sensation. So two divisions of sensation, indistinct and distinct. This has been explained in aphorisms number 18 and 19. And based on that, we will multiply the 4 divisions and the 12 substance, and that how it will work out to 336. And in the next page, the chart is also given where they are showing how it comes to 336. Okay. So we learn this both aphorisms simultaneously, 18 and 19. Pratibhaji, you read.
Ranjan Avagra, indistinct sensation.
Hmm.
The aphorism related to symbolic perception are as follow. Vyanjanasya avagra na sakur
Na
anidriya.
chakshur anindriyavam.
Can you say that again, please?
Na chakshur anindriyabhyam.
Thank you. Na chakshu anidriyabhyam. The cognition of unmanifested substance is possible by initial perception of graha. Such initial perception is called symbolic perception. Vyanjan avagraha. The eyes and mind are not instrumental in symbolic perception. Avgraha, sensation of two
Now,
types.
just let me do the corrections first. Otherwise,
Sure.
we will keep on repeating the mistakes. Okay. So,
Uh-huh.
Vyanjan avagraha means indistinct sensation. Okay. So, you cut down the word symbolic perception and you write indistinct sensation. Symbolic perception you cut down and you write indistinct sensation. Then what else you have? The next line again is possible by initial perception. So avgraha is sensation and not initial perception. Okay. Then the second line again, such initial perception. So it would be such sensation. You cut down initial perception, both the place is called indistinct sensation, not symbolic perception. Okay. So two words we have to cut down is symbolic perception, that would be indistinct sensation, and another word they have used is initial perception, that is called sensation. Okay. The eyes and mind are not instrumental in symbolic perception. So again here word will come indistinct sensation. So wherever Vyanjanavagraha word will come, you have to replace it with indistinct sensation. Okay. And where Arthavagraha will come, you have to write distinct sensation. You can put it in brackets. Okay. So you will not be confusing it. Okay. So we have changed these words. Now I think again in the next paragraph, in the case of unmanifest objects, only Vyanjanavagraha occurs. Bracket you can put in indistinct sensation. Then Arthavagraha, distinct sensation. Then inquiry would be curiosity. Determinate knowledge would be judgment. And memory would be retention. Okay. Retention do not occur. Dharana. In Hindi, word is used dharana. So we have used dharana for retention. Okay. So now I think we have corrected all. Again, you can start reading the explanation. The cognition of unmanifested substance. Again, cognition we can put it as knowledge. Okay. Cognition means knowledge. So to simplify it, you can write the knowledge of unmanifested substance is possible. From there again you start reading.
There was one more you said change in the case of unmanifested object, only indistinct sensation, and the second one distinct sensation, and the memory as retention. What was the other one?
Inquiry would be curiosity.
Oh, okay.
Determinate knowledge would be judgment. So these are the standard words that we were using in the previous aphorisms only. Avgra, Eva, Avai, Dharna. So Avgra would be sensation, Iha would be curiosity, Avai would be judgment, and Dharna would be retention.
Okay. Does you want me to start from there, right?
Yeah.
Does the knowledge of an unmanifested or inexpressible substance is called indistinct sensation, whereas the knowledge of manifest or clearly expressed substance is called distinct sensation.
Very
In
good.
the case of unmanifest object, only indistinct sensation occurs. Distinct sensation, curiosity, judgment, knowledge, or retention do not occur.
Knowledge would be cut down. Only judgment. Determinate knowledge, so both words have been cut down. It is judgment.
Only, okay. So courage, judgment, or retention do not occur.
Right.
The four sense organs Indistinct sensation occurs first, followed by distinct sensation, then inquiry,
Inquiry would be curiosity,
yeah,
determinate knowledge would be judgment,
mhm,
then retention.
yes. Curiosity, judgment, retention occurs.
Occurs.
In contrast, through the eye and the mind, knowledge begins directly with distinct sensation. It is
Yes.
especially important to note that the eye or the mind are not instrumental in indistinct sensation, but only the remaining four sense organs are instrumental in its occurrence. In this way, the four sense organs are instrumental in indistinct sensation, so it becomes 48-fold due to its application to the 12 types of substance. Distinct sensation. Along with curiosity, determination,
No,
judgment,
determinate
and
knowledge would be judgment.
retention.
Hmm.
Yeah. So curiosity, judgment, retention arises through the five sense organs and the mind. Since know, these know the 12 types of substances, each of these forms of knowledge becomes 72-fold. Thus, 48 plus 72 plus 72 plus 72 plus 72 is equal to 336. Therefore, the total number of types of sensory knowledge, Mati Gyan, is 336.
This
This
can be understood from the following chart. Now, if you see the
uh,
chart, you will understand. One thing is very clear that the Vyanjanavagraha, the indistinct sensation happens of only on the four senses. Okay. And Arthavagraha happens only in all the five senses plus mind. Okay. So first Vyanjanavagraha only four senses. So objects are 12. So 12 into 4 is 48. Then we move to Arthavagraha, which has got 6 divisions, and 6 into 12 is 72. Then Iha, again 6 senses and the 12 objects. So 72. Avai also 72, and Dharana, that is retention, is again 72. Here also you need to change the words. Okay. Dharana would be retention.
mhm,
Avai would be judgment. Then Iha would be curiosity. And Augra would be sensation. So at some places they have changed it and then they have not changed it. Vyanjanava would be indistinct sensation
mhm.
and Arthavara would be distinct. Okay. So even the subdivisions also we have to change, they have again used here word spoken, unspoken. So whatever we have done it, finalized words, that also only you have to put in, that you can do as a homework. So we now move on to the next aphorism, that is aphorism number 20. Now this was all about Mati Gyan. From 13, it started from 13 and we continued up to 19, right? Now is the Shrut Gyan. Then we will be moving on to the clairvoyance. Then we will moving on to the telepathic and then omniscience. So we are now studying 5 types of knowledge. Okay. You have any questions, Soumya? Good, you are good?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now we move, Soumya, you only read Shrut Gyan, scriptural knowledge.
Shruddha After discussing sensory knowledge in 7 aphorisms, now the Now the text takes up scriptural knowledge in a single sutra. The sutra that explains the nature of scriptural knowledge is as follows. Shrutam Matipurvam Dvainek Dwadash Bhedam. Scriptural knowledge arises subsequent to sensory knowledge. It has two primary divisions. The first has many subtypes and the second has 12 subtypes. The two principal divisions of Shrutgyan are Anga Bahya, subsidiary text, and Anga Pravishta, major text. The 12 subdivisions of Anga Pravishta Shrutgyan, major texts are Acharang, Sutrakritang, Sthanang.
Wait. I'll explain you very simply. So we have two broad divisions of this scriptural knowledge. One is called Anga Bahya and Ang Pravist. What is the difference between the two? Okay. So Ang Pravist is something that has been come to us through Gandhar. Okay. So Divya Dvani, Tirthankar's Divya Dvani emanates, and Gandhar is the first person who is able to catch it. Okay. And then Gandhar passes it on to the Himali, you do mute. So if anybody is off mute, you make it mute. Only the person who is reading, apart from that, everyone should be on mute. Okay. So we are getting background noises. Okay. So one which is written by the Gandhars. Okay. Or it's not written by the Gandhars, but it has come through the knowledge of Gandhar, that is called Anga Pravist. There are 12 divisions to it. Out of these 12 divisions, 11 are lost. We don't have it because in those days the scriptures were not there. So it was mouth to mouth publicity, right? So at some point of time, there was no one to grasp mouth to mouth. So Darshan Acharya had this thought in his mind that how this Jinwani would survive. So then he advocated two students of his disciples, Pushpadant and Bhutbali, to write the scriptures, and that's how first scripture was written, was Shat Khandagam. Okay. So Ang Pravest is something which directly comes from Gandhar, and Ang Bahya, that is through the disciples and sub-disciples of Gandhar. Okay. So we have very two broad category. One which is directly coming from the Gandhar, that is Anga Pravist. It has got 12 divisions, out of which 11 are lost. It's not found right now. It never passed on to the others. What was passed on to others, that is only documented in the scriptures, right? But before documenting in the scriptures, these were lost. So out of 12 Anga, we don't have 11 Ang with us. Only the last one, Drashtivad, is only available, and that also not full Drashtivad. Only a part of Drashtivad. Now just imagine the total knowledge. How much is the total knowledge and how much is our life? Okay. See, whatever not available, that we forget, but what is available is also enormous. Okay. So our endeavor should be to know the prayojanbhut, purposeful things only. Okay. And by knowing the purposeful things and by applying it in our day-to-day life, we can manifest right belief and we can be in happy space all the time. That is possible. But if you go on studying, there is no end to these teachings and preachings. Okay. So a smart work would be to know the purposeful things and carry on with this practice so that you are happy space all the time. You manifest right belief, your path of liberation begins, and then you will build up in further bow. You will become a monk, you will manifest omniscience knowledge, and you will get liberated. Okay, that is how our journey would be. Okay, so this Anga Bahya is written by Gandhar's disciples and sub-disciples, special category, and Anga Pravist directly, which has come from Gandhar. Okay, so now the names are there. It's all in the transliteration form only. They have not translated it, and I think it's going to be very difficult to explain all this, but right now it is not available. But if it is available, I will definitely share with you the English names for all these 12 Angas. Okay. Now you can continue, Soumya. Unmute
Or
yourself.
unmute.
Sorry. So the names, the 12 subdivisions of Anga Pravishta Shrutgyan, major texts are Acharang, Sutrakritang, Sthanang, Samvayang, Vyakhya Pragyaptiyang, ज्ञात्री धर्म कथांग उपासकाध्यायनांग अंतःकृत दशांग अनुत्तरोपाद अनुत्तरोपादिक दशांग प्रश्न व्याकरणांग विपाक सूत्रांग और दृष्टिवादांग. Total letters in Shrut 18 Shankhas, 44 Padmas, 67 Neel, 44 Kharabs, 7 Arabs, 30 crores, 95 lakhs, 51,000 and 615. That is 18446744073095516115. When 16 Arabs, 34 crores, 83 lakhs, 7,088 letters are divided into medium length sections, Madhyam Pad, we obtain 1 Arab, 12 crore, 83 lakh, 58,005 medium length sections, and 8 crore, 1 lakh, 8,175 remaining letters. The 12 Ang scriptures such as Acharang, etc. are composed using these Madhyam Padas, which is why they are termed Anga Pravishta, included in the Angas. The scriptures composed from the remaining letters are those that fall outside the Angas and are thus termed Anga Bahya, external to the Angas. Page 52, Hindi text. Although the Angas and Anga Bahya scriptures are composed by the Gandharas, chief disciples of the Tirthankara, the scriptures authored by other knowledgeable and virtuous disciples or sub-disciples apart from Gandharas are also included under Anga Bahya Shruta. In this way, Anga Bahya category comprises a variety of scriptures. As of today, the knowledge of 11 out of 12 Angas has been lost. Of the 12 Anga Drishtivad Anga, only the knowledge of the fifth section, Vastu Adhikar, of the fourth Purva, Prabhrit, known as Mahakarma Prakriti, from the Agrayani Purva, was preserved. This knowledge was held by Acharya Dharsen, who then taught it to his disciples, the Jain monks Bhutbali and Pushpadant. Bhutbali and Pushpadant compiled this knowledge into the scripture known as Shatkhandagam. The commentary, that is Tika, on that scripture was later composed by Acharya Veer Sen in the form of Dhavla and Jai Dhavla. Based on these texts, Acharya Nemi Chandra went on to author major treatises such as Gomatsar and others. Thus began the formation of the first Shrut Skandha, scriptural tradition or lineage. At the same time, another Jain monk named Acharya Gundhar possessed knowledge of the third Prabhrit from the 10th Vastu Adhikar of the Gyan Pravad Purva. He passed on this Prabhrit to a monk named Nagahasti who studied it under him. After learning from both these monks, another monk named Yati Nayak composed a condensed version, Churnika, of this text containing 6,000 aphorisms, sutras. A further commentary on this was written by a monk named Samudharana, comprising around 12,000 shlokas. In the lineage of these teachers, the renowned Acharya Kund emerged as a knower of these scriptures. He went on to compose celebrated texts like Samaysar and others. In this way, the second Shrut Skandha scriptural lineage came into being. Thus, today only a small portion of the 12th Anga has survived, the rest is lost. Although Shrutgyan, like Matigyan, can exist in all embodied beings from the first to the 12th Gunasthan, even including one-sensed beings, the present discussion is only concerned with Dwadashanga form of scriptural true knowledge, Samyak Shrutgyan.
Stop. So you see, this is 19 digit. This figures of 18 Sankhas, 44 Padmas. If you add up, it works out to 19 digit. Okay. So total letters that has been used in this scriptures was 19 digit figure. It goes on like this. And so the two kinds of not the scriptures, but the two kinds of knowledge. One is Ang Pravist, which is directly from the Gandhar, and Ang Bahya, which has been composed by his disciples and sub-disciples. Okay. So far, there was no written scriptures. Only it was being passed on to one person to another person. And in those days, the memory was so strong that the Acharya would say only one time and the disciple would memorize it. It will come into his mind. That was the level of memory at that point of time. But with the time passing away, this is a deteriorating time. So the memory also keeps on decreasing and the knowledge also keeps on decreasing. So up to Darsen Acharya, so out of 12 Angas, 11 are lost. And out of one Anga also, only a part remains. Okay. So this was carried up to Darsen Acharya by mouth publicity. Then Darsen Acharya was not finding anyone more to pass on his knowledge to them. So what he did, he advised two of his disciples to write the scriptures. And based on Darsena's knowledge, these scriptures were written and the name of the scripture was Shat Khandagam. This is the first scripture. Now out of that, again due to the passage of time, many things were lost. By the time Kunkunda Acharya came here, he got this knowledge from this lineage only, and what was available from that knowledge, he first understood those knowledge. Then he went to Mahavidesh Kshetra, he met Simandar Paramatma over there, got his queries solved over there, and then he came back and wrote this 5 Parmagams, Samay Sar, Pravachan Sar, Niyam Sar, Panchastikaya and Ashtapahur. Okay. So that is called the second lineage, second series of lineage we can say. Okay. So the first one was about Darsen Acharya and all. And the second one is what started by Acharya Kundkund Dev. Okay. So this is how the scriptural knowledge has evolved and it has come to us. Now in the present moment, if we see, even the Acharyas are also not there. So what we have is scholars like, many scholars like Todarmal ji, Banarsidas ji, and Sada Sukdas ji, Deepchand ji, Kaskliwal, Pandit Daulat Ram ji, Chabda, Pandit Jaichand ji, Chabda. Then we have Pandey Rajmal ji. So galaxy of only scholars who were householder. Okay. And they carried on this passing of knowledge by making scriptures which are, which we can read, and that's how just because the scriptures have been simplified, so we are able to understand. So now just imagine Tattvad Sutra is only a small part of the total knowledge of Dvad Sang, 12 Angas, okay? Very small part. So what we have got in terms of what we have received in terms of lineage is very less compared to the total knowledge. And out of that also to identify what is purposeful and study those and then apply it in our day-to-day life and manifest happiness, it's again a very great challenge. Okay. People generally get lost in the scriptures, we have 4 expositions and each exposition has many scriptures. Now our life is very short. How much we will able to read? And even if we read it, how much we will able to remember? That is another. With the advent of mobile and all, memory is streaking like anything. Okay. Earlier we used to remember telephone numbers of all our relatives, and nowadays nobody remembers. It's all in the memory. It's all saved, right? So this is the fact that we are in. So now the right thing would be to study according to our capacity, but study with a purpose. Okay. The purpose would be to manifest happiness in all situations. if you are able to align this concept with whatever you have in terms of time, whatever you have in terms of capacity to understand, whatever you have in terms of manifesting it, understanding it, is uh, it's again a challenging task. And if you are very highly motivated and if you have the purpose in your mind, then only you will be able to navigate this journey. Otherwise, we will also get lost in some kind of knowledge which we will come to know at the end of our life that it is all futile, no use, right? So this is again a very, very big challenge. Okay. So we have to put a filter in our mind, what we want to grasp and what we don't want to grasp. Okay. And proceed to in those things which are going to come to help us in manifesting happiness in all the situation, in manifesting passionlessness in all the situations, in manifesting or helping us not to react in according to the situations. All these are some of the preachings that we have to understand and align ourselves with those kind of understanding, so that we are able to be in happy space all the time. And whatever we read, we always find a purpose to read it. Okay, we should know the purpose of this thing, and the best thing would be to get into the minds of Acharya. Why they have written this? Why have they written this? Right? One of the arguments I was discussing with somebody few days ago uh, was that why Samanbhadra Acharya or some others, Uma Swami and some other scholars, why they never wrote anything in the spiritual text, Adhyatam? Why not anything about the pure soul? If it is so important, because experiencing the soul is only the beginning of the path of liberation, then why they did not elaborate on that? Because that was the purposeful thing. So why? So this is something that's still, it's a subject of research, and many scholars are doing researches on this. But one thing I am very certain is that everything doesn't come to mind for a single person at the same time. Okay. So that's why we have to refer different scriptures to get the best out of it. Okay. And the course that I have designed of happiness is again on similar lines. I have only included 12 topics, which will help you to manifest happiness, which will help you to manifest happiness in all situations. So this is again a special kind of course. So of course, Parmagam is a comprehensive course, but out of that, everyone is not able to continue Parmagam for 5 long years with continuous assignments coming and there, and many people were dropping. Recently also in our group, Payal dropped, right? So she missed many classes. Now she's not able to cover up. So what we have to do? She has to drop. So one thing is very certain: if you are not attending classes live, sooner or later you will get dropped. That's very sure. That is my experience. Okay. Now, even if you are writing classes, you have to again read on a day-to-day basis every day. Some time you have to set aside for yourself to read this, to have a meaningful understanding. Not only just for the sake of understanding, but a meaningful understanding, something which you will be able to put it in practice in your day-to-day life and extract purchase from those. Okay. So this is something I'm sharing with you, just because if the purpose would be there in your mind, then you will be able to navigate this journey. Otherwise, you will also drop at some time, because we have challenges in our day-to-day life, in our personal life also. So something comes up, then first thing to leave is this course. Okay. So that's why I was in the mind of designing a very small course, where people are able to understand it also, and at the same time try to apply it also in your day-to-day life. Okay. But anyways, we will track whatever is there in the syllabus. So we will move ahead, but there is no end of this knowledge of the scriptures. Okay. As you can see, so many sloks, so lakhs of sloks and lakhs of letters and words and all these put together, it's a very long road ahead. Okay. In another page, see this diagram. This is about the whole Srutskan. It's in Hindi, of course, it's not translated into English, but this is something you can connect to. I think these are the figures are given is of the pad or sloks, whatever it would be. I think it would be pad, right? Words. I think this will constitute so much of words. So all these are given. So this 12 anga and then anga bahya, all these are given. So this is the total Srutskan. This photo has been taken because the one that is available in Tatvarth Mani Pradeep was not clear. So I got this photo from Tatvarth Manjusha. Tatvarth Manjusha is again a commentary on Tatvarth Sutra, and some Gyanmati Mataji, I think Gyanmati Mataji has composed that. What she has done, is that she has given Tatvarth Manjusha. So what she has done, best part, he has given references, Daula, Jai Daula, all the commentaries so far written on Tattva Sutra. He is just Vigyanmati Mataji. Yeah, Vigyanmati Mataji, very good scholar. So she has read all the scriptures and given the references also, that this is from Daula, this is from Jav Daula. If you want to explore more, you can go there. So I am having, I think it's 2 volumes, part 1 and part 2. I am having it my place. Then we have one more, Chetan Das ji. Brahmachari Kalpana Ben had translated that. The Chetan Das ji has also written a commentary on Tattva Sutra. That is also very good. Then of course we have Moksha Shastra by Ramji Bhai Doshi from Songad. Then we have of course Dr. Saib's Tattva Mani Pradeep. That is a part of our syllabus. And then we have one book on charts and tables by Prakashji Chabda and Poojaji Chabda, her wife, that white book you must have received. So that comes very handy. Okay. So all these references are there. If you want to explore, there is a lot available. But right now we will continue and we will move on to the next aphorisms. Aphorism number 21, 22, which is about Avdi Gyan. So we have read Mati Gyan, sensory knowledge, then scriptural knowledge, Shrut Gyan. Now we are coming on to Avdi Gyan, that is 21, 22, and then telepathic knowledge, that will be 23. Okay. So 21 and 22, Maltiji, you read Avdi Gyan,
Yes, sir.
clairvoyance knowledge.
Avdigyan, clairvoyance. Avdigyan is of 2 types. Clairvoyance caused primarily by birth nature, Bhav Pratyay Avdigyan. Clairvoyance caused primarily by spiritual purity, Gun Pratyay Avdigyan. The term Bhav refers to the mode, Paryay of the soul, that arises due to the rise of lifespan determining karma. When the nature of birth is primarily instrumental in development of clairvoyance, it is called as Bhav Pratyay Avdigyan. When it arises primarily due to the partial destruction and subsidence, Shayopsham, of karma, it is called Gun Pratyay Avdigyan. Although even clairvoyance caused primarily by birth nature requires the partial elimination and suppression of the obstructive karma specific to clairvoyance, because without that, clairvoyant knowledge is not possible at all. Nevertheless, in celestial and hellish embodiments, this partial elimination and suppression of the obstructive karma occurs inevitably. Therefore, the nature of birth is considered the primary cause and is accordingly called as Bhav Pratyay. Just as birds are seen to fly in the sky from the moment of birth, in the same way, celestial beings and hellish beings possess clairvoyant knowledge from the moment of their birth. This is why their clairvoyant knowledge is called knowledge arising primarily due to the mode of existence, Bhav. Among humans and subhumans, Siransh, very few beings possess clairvoyant knowledge. Therefore, in humans and subhumans, partial destruction and suppression of karmas is said to be instrumental in development of clairvoyance knowledge. Regarding clairvoyance knowledge, 2 aphorisms are found in the Tattvarth Sutra as follows. Bhav Pratyay Vadir Dev Narakanam. Shayopsham Nimit Sad Vikalp Seshanam. Clairvoyance due to birth nature is found in celestial and infernal beings. and the partial destruction and suppression of karmas is instrumental in development of clairvoyance of all other beings, namely humans and the most sentient five-sensed subhumans. It is of 6 types. The brief description is as follows. Accompanying, that is anugami, is that clairvoyance which remains with the soul even in a subsequent birth or even in a different space, just like sunlight that spreads across places. Non-accompanying, anugami, ananugami, is that clairvoyance which does not accompany the soul into the next birth or space. Third, increasing, vardhamana, clairvoyance that increases steadily like the phases of the waxing moon. Four, decreasing, hiyamana, clairvoyance that diminishes gradually like the waning phases of the moon. Steady, avasthita, is that clairvoyance that remains constant like the sun or unchanging like a mole on the body that neither decreases or increases. Unsteady, the 6th, unsteady, anavasthita, is that clairvoyance which fluctuates irregularly, increasing and decreasing like waves on water steered by the wind. In this context, an important point to note is that even Tirthankaras, though born as humans, possess clairvoyance from birth. Therefore, from one perspective, their clairvoyance can also be classified as clairvoyance by nature of birth, bhav pratyaya. Bhav pratyaya basically should be. In the clairvoyance of Tirthankaras, it's considered as that of the nature of birth, that is bhav pratyaya. Then clairvoyance caused primarily by spiritual purity, that is the gun pratyaya avadhigyan, would apply only to the rest of the humans and 5-sense subhumans, excluding Tirthankaras. Among subhumans, only the sentient 5-sense ones with mind possess clairvoyance, and all humans always have 5 senses and mind. Should we read the next, sir?
So you're on mute.
On mute, I'm sorry. Okay. So this is all about Avdhigyan, that is clairvoyance knowledge. So there are 2 kinds of Avdhigyan. First of all, we have read this definition, of course, many times in Vitrag Vigyan 1, 2, 3. This Avdhigyan, Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav. Limitations of Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav. Dravya is substance, Kshetra is space, Kal is time, and Bhav is mode. Okay. So with the limitations of Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav, only the Rupi Padarth means the one we can know from the senses, okay, that are only known by the Avdhigyan. So Avdhigyan, through clairvoyance knowledge, we cannot know the soul. We can only know those objects which have touch, taste, sense, touch, taste, smell, and color. Okay. So Avdhigyan is not helpful for us in knowing the pure soul. Okay. But it will help us to know where we were in the previous birth and previous to that birth. All these are known in Avdhigyan. Okay. But not the soul. Then this Avdhigyan is of 2 types, Bhav Pratyaya and Gun Pratyaya. So Bhav Pratyaya is one where the birth is only the cause, okay, and it also depends on the lifespan determining karmas. So Bhav Pratyaya refers to the mode of the soul that arises due to the rise of lifespan determining karma. Then the other one is Gun Pratyaya, when it arises primarily due to the partial destruction and subsidence of karma, it is called Gun Pratyaya. Okay. So these 2 types are there. Bhav Pratyaya are applicable only in all celestial beings, in all infernal beings, and Tirthankar. Only these 3. Okay. Among the humans, only Tirthankar have this Bhav Pratyaya from the birth itself. Okay. And all the celestial beings and the infernal beings have by default this Avdhigyan on birth of on their birth only. Okay. The other 2, the Gun Pratyay. The Gun Pratyay are applicable to human and subhuman. Okay. So among the humans are all with mind, but among the subhumans, only those subhumans which have mind, they only can have this Avdhigyan. Okay. But it is not majorly very few have this Avdigyan. Okay. So this is all about Avdigyan. Again, this Avdigyan is about 6 types. Okay. First one is Anugami. Anugami means accompanying. So it says that it will accompany you in the next birth. Okay. Even in the subsequent birth. Then we have non-accompanying, which does not accompany the soul in the next birth. Then the third type is increasing. So here the clairvoyance that increases steadily. Okay. Then the fourth one is decreasing, that diminishes gradually. Then the fifth one is steady, is that clairvoyance which remains constant, like the sun, or unchanging, like a mole on the body, neither decreases or increases. And the sixth one is unsteady, is that clairvoyance which fluctuates irregularly, increasing and decreasing like waves on water stirred by the wind. So 6 types of Avdigyan. All these discussions are on the right knowledge. Okay. Not on the wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge divisions are 3 divisions are there. Kumati, Kushrut, and Kuavdi. That is going to come into discussion after we finish this. But these are all about the right knowledge. So 5 kinds of right knowledge: sensory, scriptural, clairvoyance, telepathic, and omniscience. Okay. So we have discussed 3. Now we are moving on to the 4th one, that is telepathic knowledge. Mana
So can you
Paryagya.
so can you read out the sutra for the right pronunciation?
Which one? 21, 22 or
21, 22. 21,
21,
22.
22. Okay. Bhau pratyayo vardide vanar kanam. Then 22. Sharpsham nimitta shadvikalpa sheshanam. Okay. So this is I have read from the Hindi because English would be difficult to read. So
Thanks.
okay. Now 23 also I will read from this book only, Hindi, so that the pronunciation comes correct. Raju Vipalmati Mana Paryayah. Okay. So telepathic knowledge is the one knowledge which has again limitations of Dravya Kshetra Kal Bhav, but that only knows the thoughts in others' mind. Okay. So Mana Paragyan is also not useful to us to know the soul. Okay. Soul is known only through sensory and scriptural knowledge and not through clairvoyance and telepathic knowledge. So what telepathy actually knows? It knows the thoughts in mind of other people. Okay. Now somebody would come to you and you have telepathic knowledge. Okay. So you will be able to know what he is thinking in his mind. Right. Now, only the monks have this telepathic knowledge. Okay. Only monk, the true monks who has renounced the three levels of passions, that is called Bhavlingi Muniraj, they are the possessor of this telepathic knowledge, and they don't have any interest to know what's going on in the minds of other people, right? But still they are only able to have this knowledge. Okay. So telepathy knowledge again has got 2 divisions, Rijumati and the Vipulmati. Rijumati is a simple knowledge, telepathy knowledge, and Vipulmati is a complex telepathy knowledge. As the name suggests, it knows only the simple objects through mind, speech, and body. That is Rijumati. And the Vipulmati knows simple objects also and the complex subtle objects also. Okay. So that is the difference between the two. Of course, the difference is there. That is explained in another aphorisms coming next. That is aphorism number 24. But right now we will first read the 23rd one. Okay. Madhuji, you read.
Yes, sir. Telepathic knowledge, Manaparyay Gyan. After discussing sensory knowledge, spiritual knowledge, clairvoyant knowledge, we now turn to telepathic knowledge in the following 3 aphorisms. The first aphorism related to Manaparyay Gyan is Riju Vipula Mati Manah Parayay. Telepathic knowledge is of two kinds, Rijumati and Vipulmati. 1. Rijumati. Simple telepathic knowledge is that knowledge which, through the simplicity of mind, speech, and body, knows the physical objects present in another's mind. This is called Rijumati, simple telepathic knowledge. 2. Vipulmati, complex telepathic knowledge, the knowledge which knows the honest and deceitful thoughts in the form of physical objects present in another's mind. This is called Vipulmati, complex telepathic knowledge. A possible question may arise here. What is meant by physical objects situated in the mind? Because the mind only gives rise to thoughts and psychic conceptualizations, vikalpas. Are these thoughts or co- conceptu- conceptualization physical entities?
So the thoughts that goes in our mind, are they physical entities? Means they are asking simple question that are they matter substance? Here it says, yeah, they are matter substance, because the knowledge of clairvoyance and telepathic only relates to those matter substance only. It cannot know the soul, right? So it only knows matter substance, and that's why these thoughts and the vikalpa, that is psychic conceptualizations, okay, psychic conceptualizations are also considered as physical entities. That discussion will follow. You continue reading.
The answer is yes. These thoughts and conceptualizations are indeed considered to, to have form, that is, root. This is self evident from the fact that the subject matter of telepathic knowledge is the physical objects and that it only knows the objects existing in another's mind. It
Hmm.
is universally known that only thoughts arise in the mind. Hence, it is established that these thoughts and conceptualizations are indeed physical entities.
Hmm. So thought is vichar, and conceptualization is vikalp. Vichar and vikalp, okay? These are also physical entities, okay? And these are also not in our hand. This also comes automatically. So never identify ourselves with these, okay? These are just a reflection in our knowledge screen, nothing else. This does not belong to us. We are not the doer of these. It is not under our control what thought I can have at particular time, okay? Because it's not my job. My job is just to know. They just reflect in my knowledge, and if you are able to understand this, you will feel very relaxed, because sometimes only we feel ourselves as bad just because we have got wrong thoughts, okay? But those thoughts are not ours. That you should understand. So here you need to practice discriminative knowledge. So those are matter substance and I am soul substance. So mind is matter substance, speech is matter substance, and body is matter substance. And we identify ourselves with mind, speech, and body. So here you need to practice that I am the pure soul, and if I am the pure soul, my job is just to know, because soul doesn't do anything. It only knows. Even if we were in one sensed being, we were still knowing only. We never did anything. It is beyond our capacity to do anything. Our capacity is up to that we can only know, because we have knowledge attribute in ourselves. Knowledge is the nature of the soul. Okay. So it's our nature to know. So we know. We don't go beyond knowing. Right. So if we are able to limit ourselves to up to knowing only, then we will not bind any karmas. And why we are binding karmas, we go beyond that and we become a doer, and that's how we bind new karmas. Okay. So this cycle will stop once you realize that your limitations is up to knowing. I don't go beyond knowing. So then automatically you will not bind karmas. This is your true identity. Knowing is your true identity. Knowing is your true function. Okay. So you take a decision on this, that I am a knower only and I'm not a doer. This is the right knowledge about the soul. Okay.
So,
So,
sir, which
hmm,
means that nobody is good or bad.
yes, very, very logical. Nothing is good or bad. Only thing is that it is reflecting on your knowledge screen. But because of your past
Karma.
assumptions, past understanding, you consider someone to be good and someone to be bad. Okay.
Yes.
Whereas in reality, supposing some people are inflicting pain on you, then also they are not inflicting pain, because as a soul, if you see them as a soul, they are also knower. Whatever is happening because of your past karma, they are just
Limit.
instrumental cause, nothing else. And if someone tries to harm you and your past karmas are not like that, then they will not be able to harm you. So there is no way that you have to uh, experience fear. Okay, there is no way that you can consider yourself great based on all these activities, right? Because just you are a knower and not doer. Okay, so if you are able to understand all these things, the life becomes very simple, very simple. We have nothing against anybody, all are gods, all are Bhagwan Atma, right? And if you see from that perspective, then you will never manifest anger, pride, uh, deceit, and greed, never. And all those quasi passions also. Okay, liking, disliking, fear, disgust, right? Then all kinds of sex passions, all these you will never have once you understand this. Okay,
It's a very
so
big thing, which means.
yes, each and every line in Jinwani takes us to somewhere if we are able to understand it properly, right?
So day-to-day life, the fight is about all this only, sir.
Yeah, so you have to first position yourself, who you are. You
You
have to
have to become
identify
very
yourself.
simple. Yes.
So first thing is, if you have identified yourself that you are a pure soul and your function is just to know, okay, then
Mm.
automatically your behaviors will change. Why we are behaving in a certain manner? Because we feel that Hemali is doing bad to me. But when we know that Hemali cannot do any bad to me, automatically anger will not rise. Very simple, right? So uh, all the causes of this worldly existence are very, very worthless. It has got no weightage. Only thing is, just because of delusion, we are not able to interpret in the right sense. Okay. If we interpret everything in the right sense, there is no cause of sorrow, there is no cause of misery, nothing, no sufferings, nothing. You enjoy every moment. If it happens this way, you will enjoy. If this doesn't happen this way, you will still enjoy, because you don't have any expectations, because nobody can do anything. Whatever is happening very automatically. All the six substances are functioning independently of one another. This universe is in auto mode. Nobody is a manager, nobody is destroyer, nobody is creator, right? So when you put all these things in perspective, then the knowledge that evolves is always very rational. It's able to interpret things in the right sense. And when you interpret things in the right sense, you are always happy. Okay. So you will completely wipe out the delusion. If you start understanding this manner, if you start analyzing in this manner, okay, the strength comes from analyzing. You don't have any other tools to come at the conclusion. You have only to think, contemplate, analyze, think, contemplate, and analyze. And of course, before that, you have to read. We are reading the scriptures. The next step would be for you to contemplate, analyze that here it is written like this, here it is written like this, what is the truth? So if you ponder for some moment on anything, you come at a conclusion. And that conclusion is very logical, okay, based on logics. So you will come to the correct decision. And if you are able to improve your decision making power, then you will exercise the right choices at the right time. Now, this is something very, very unique, you know. making right choices at the right time. You have to ask everything you do, why I'm doing this? What is the purpose? How this is going to help me in my spiritual journey? If you are able to analyze in this way, then automatically your choices also will become very correct. Will not indulge in any unnecessary things, you know. You will do all the purposeful things. Good. So continue. This telepathic knowledge is done. Now the difference between the two divisions of telepathic knowledge, simple telepathic knowledge and complex telepathic knowledge. So there are 4 points. Okay. So it's given in the aphorism number 24. Okay. And who is not attending class? I think Rekha is not attending class now. So once you stop attending class, I think this kind of atmosphere that you get in the class, the motivation that you get in the class, that you don't get when you read individually or when you listen individually. So Jia, you read. Jia is now regular.
Yes. Difference between simple Rajumati and complex Vipulmati telepathic knowledge. After understanding the nature of simple Rajumati and complex telepathic knowledge, we now clarify the difference between them. The relevant aphorism is as follows. The distinction between the two lies in purity of modifications, visuddhi, and non-fallibility, apratipata. As a result of the destruction comes subsidence of karmas that obstruct the telepathic knowledge. The inner clear modification experienced by the soul is called as purity, pratipata, meaning falling off or discontinuation, whereas apratipata means non-falling or continuity. A person who attains complex telepathic knowledge has a greater degree of purity in their mental modifications than one with simple telepathic knowledge. Simple telepathic knowledge may fall off or discontinue. However, the one possessing complex telepathic knowledge never regresses. He does not fall back. It remains intact until omniscience is attained. At the time of attaining omniscience, all four knowledge acquired through partial destruction come subsidence of karmas, shayopsham gyan, naturally cease. In this way, it is established that not falling off before the attainment of omniscience is called non-fall, apratipata, and falling off even without attaining omniscience is called fall, pratipata. Thus, complex telepathic knowledge is non-falling, while simple telepathic knowledge is liable to fall. Complex telepathic knowledge occurs only in those who are destined for liberation, Tadbhav Mokshgami, in the same birth, but simple telepathic knowledge can occur both in those who are destined for liberation and in those who are not. Similarly, one with the complex telepathic knowledge ascends the spiritual ladder of karmic annihilation, Sapakarshrini, but one with simple telepathic knowledge may ascend either the spiritual ladder of karmic annihilation or the subsidential ladder, Upsam Shreni, or may not ascend any ladder at all. Should I continue?
Stop. So this is the end of the 24th aphorism. So 4 kinds of difference. So basically the distinction between the lies on two grounds. One is the purity of modification, that is Vishuddhi, and the third is, next is the non-fallibility, apratipat. Okay. These two are the points of discussions between the simple and complex telepathic knowledge. Okay. Now, based on these two differences, we have seen there were 4 points. The first point is a person who attains complex telepathic knowledge has a greater degree of purity. Okay, greater degree of purity in their mental modification than one with simple telepathic knowledge. Okay, so this is the first point. Second point, simple telepathic knowledge may fall or discontinue. However, the one possessing with complex telepathic knowledge never falls. Okay, it remains intact until omniscience is attained. So two differences. Third difference after one paragraph, complex telepathic knowledge only occurs to those who are destined for liberation, same birth, they are going to get liberated in the same birth, then only they have complex telepathic knowledge. Okay. But simple telepathic knowledge can occur both in those who are destined for liberation and in those who are not. And the last point of difference was one with complex telepathy knowledge ascends the spiritual ladder of karmic annihilation. That is Sapak Shreni. 8, 9, 10, 12. They don't fall back. Okay. But one with simple telepathic knowledge may ascend either the spiritual ladder of karmic annihilation or the subsidential ladder. Okay. So one is Sapak Shreni. So simple telepathic knowledge can have both Sapak Shreni and Upsham Shreni. Okay. And one with complex telepathic knowledge will have only the Sapak Shreni. So these four were the differences between these two types of knowledge based on internal purity and the fallibility. Okay, these two were the basic criteria for the difference between the simple telepathic knowledge and complex telepathic knowledge. Now, what is the difference between the clairvoyant knowledge and the telepathic knowledge? Right. One similarity is that both are used, means only the matter substance becomes the object of their knowledge. Okay. Both are knowing the matter. They don't know the soul. So that is common across two. But what is the difference? So again, 4 points are given that we are going to read just now. I think Himali is left, right? Everyone has been covered. So Himali, you read.
सर कैन आई इंटरप्ट? ये जो फॉल बैक होता है सिंपल इसका
हाँ
विच श्रेणी इट विल बी फॉलिंग बैक विल बी 11th ना? Is it that?
सो 11 से 11 तक ही जाएगा वो और फिर फॉल बैक करेगा. सो देर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ लैडर, स्पिरिचुअल लैडर. ओके, one is Sapak Shreni called karmic annihilation. In these stages, they keep on destroying the karmas completely. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, and they jump to 12. They never fall. But the one with the simple telepathic knowledge, they can climb both the Shrenis, Upsham also and the Sapak also. So Upsham Shreni is called subsidential ladder because it does not destroy the karma completely, just only subsidized. Subsidized means subsided, not subsidized, but subsided. I've misinterpreted the word. Subsided, dabana, dabta hai, upsham. Okay, so so the one with simple telepathic knowledge can have both the ladders, but one with complex telepathic knowledge will only have that karmic annihilation spiritual ladder.
So he jumps from 10 to 12.
Yes,
11.
he jumps from 10 to 12.
Mm.
Okay, 8,
Yeah.
9, 10, 12. And this one 8, 9, 10, 11, and again from fallback.
That is very positive.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So Himali, you were reading.
Difference between clairvoyant and telepathic knowledge. Having clarified simple and complex telepathic knowledge, clarify the difference between clairvoyant and telepathic knowledge. This is now clarified as follows. The relevant aphorism is Vishuddhi Kshetra Swami Vishaya Bhava Vadi Manaparyaya. Clairvoyant and telepathic knowledge differ from each other with respect to purity, space, possessor, and the object. The first one, telepathic knowledge possesses greater purity than clairvoyant knowledge. The second one, telepathic knowledge only knows things within the region of the Manushutta mountain.
Manusuttar Parvat, yeah.
Mountain. That is within the 2.5 continents. Dvipika.
Dhaidiv. Okay. Yeah.
Dweep, sorry. Whereas the range of clairvoyant knowledge extends to innumerable parts of the universe. Asankhyata Loka. The third one, telepathic knowledge is possessed only by souls with excellent conduct, progressing from the 6th to the 12th spiritual stage, Gunistan, whereas clairvoyant knowledge can also be found in all five sensed beings with mind and with right faith, Samyak Drishti, belonging to any of the four realms. Impure clairvoyance or defective clairvoyance can be possessed by five sensed beings with mind belonging to all four realms. The fourth one, the object of clairvoyant knowledge includes all material, rupi substances, and some of their modes, paryas, within the limit of substance, dravya, space, kshetra, time, kal, and modifications, bhav. The object of telepathic knowledge is also material substances, rupi pudgal. However, it only concerns those objects that are infinitely subtler than the objects of clairvoyance in terms of indivisible segments of mode, avibhag
Pratiched.
praticheda, namely the thoughts and ideas located in another's mind. Thus, we observe that clairvoyance and telepathic knowledge differ significantly with respect to purity, space, possessor, and object.
So 4 points of difference. First one is purity. Telepathic, of course, has greater purity than clairvoyant knowledge. And the second one is space. Telepathic knows only things within the region of Manusuttar Parvat. Why? Because the object that are known in telepathic knowledge is the thoughts in others' mind, right? So human existence exists only up to this Twaidip. It doesn't go beyond that, right? So telepathic knowledge is limited to that 2.5 continents, Dhaidip. Whereas the range of clairvoyant knowledge extends to innumerable parts of the universe. Asankyat lok. Okay. So that was the second difference regarding space. The third is possessor. Who is the possessor of telepathic knowledge? Only the true monks between the 6th to the 12th stage. But clairvoyance knowledge could be any five sensed being with mind in any of the four states of existence. Okay. So that could be fourth, fifth, that's much. Because of course some monks do have clairvoyance knowledge. So, but it starts from the fourth also. Okay. So this is because we are discussing only the right clairvoyance knowledge. Okay. When we will discuss the false clairvoyance knowledge, so that people in the first stage also have false clairvoyance knowledge. Okay. Now the fourth point of difference was about the object. The object of clairvoyant knowledge includes all material substance and some of their modes within the limits of substance, space, time, and modification. Okay. So this Avdhigyan and it includes all material substance. But what is known in telepathic knowledge? The object of telepathic knowledge is also material substance. However, it only concerns those substances that are infinitely subtler than the object of clairvoyance. Very subtle than the objects of clairvoyance in terms of indivisible segments of modes. Indivisible segments of modes, that is avibhag pratiched. Avibhag means you cannot divide it further. That is called avibhag, indivisible. Okay. And pratiched is segments in terms of indivisible segments of modes, namely the thoughts and ideas located in another's mind. Thus, we observe that clairvoyance and telepathic knowledge differ significantly with respect to purity, space, possessor, and object. Okay. So we have covered 4 kinds of knowledge. Now we are discussing the subject matter of all the 5 types of knowledge. Okay. So this aphorisms number 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay. This will define the subject matter of the 5 types of knowledge. So one thing we all know that clairvoyance knowledge. What is the subject of clairvoyance knowledge? The whole universe, each and every substance, each and every attributes of that substance, each and every modification of the of that substance. Everything is known in omniscience knowledge. Nothing is hidden in omniscience knowledge, right? There is no limitations to omniscience knowledge, and that's why it is called omniscience, right? It knows everything, past, present, future, all in one moment, and that too simultaneously. Okay, so this is clairvoyance knowledge. So this explanation will also come, and what clairvoyance knows that I've already defined. Now, what these four types of knowledge knows, that also has been defined. But there is another, there are four aphorisms which are dedicated to the subject matter of these five types of knowledge. So that we will read and see. But you already know what knows, what we can know through Mati Gyan and Shrut Gyan, what we can know through clairvoyance and telepathic, and what we can know through omniscience knowledge. All thing has been discussed, but still we will discuss again here. Okay. So now again we'll come for the repetitions. So we'll start with Somya.
Although now omniscience should be the topic of discussion, its nature will be explained in detail in chapter 10 during the discussion on fundamentals of liberation. Therefore, leaving that aside for now, we reflect upon the subject matter of the five types of knowledge. The four aphorisms describing the subject matter of the five knowledges are as follows. मति श्रुतयोर निबंधो द्रव्येषु सर्व पर्यायेषु रूपेष्व वदेः तदनंत भागे मनः पर्ययस्य सर्वद्रव्य पर्यायेषु केवलस्य. So, through sensory knowledge and scriptural knowledge are capable of knowing all substances, they do not perceive all their coexisting modes. Sahavarti paryayo guno. Okay. And sequential modes, kramvarti paryay. They grasp only a few of those modes. Thus, the object of sensory knowledge and scriptural knowledge are the few modes of all substances. Clairvoyant knowledge knows only material, that is, rupee substances, hence its subject is material and some of its modes. Telepathic knowledge perceives a substance that is infinitely subtler than that known by clairvoyant knowledge, a subtle material substance which consists of the thoughts and notions located in another's mind. From this, it is naturally established that the psychic activity, vikalp, and thoughts arising in the mind are also material, rupi, composed of matter. Omniscience directly and vividly perceives, without the aid of senses or the like, and through the soul itself, all substances along with all their coexisting modes, gun, simultaneous across past, present, and future, and sequential modes all at once in a single moment. This is the reason why it is called suprasensory direct knowledge, atindriya pratyaksha. It must be noted that sensory perception is conventional direct knowledge, some samvyavaharik pratyaksha, whereas omniscience, that is suprasensory perception, is the real direct knowledge. In the above five aphorisms, it has been explained what the five types of knowledge are, what the five types of knowledge know, whom they know, and how they know. The fundamental purpose of understanding the subject matter of the knowables, gear, of these five kinds of knowledge is this. If we are to attain right belief, right knowledge and conduct, samyak darshan, gyan charitra, to walk on the path of liberation and to attain liberation, then first of all, we must realize that at present we possess only sensory knowledge and scriptural knowledge. And in order to achieve our goal, we must attain omniscience, because along with it comes the experience of infinite suprasensory bliss. Ananta Atindriya Ananda.
Stop.
Now remains.
So rest of the explanation you can read as a homework. I will explain you in very brief. So what the Mati Shrut Gyan, that is sensory knowledge and scriptural knows, it knows all the substances, okay, but with few modifications, okay, only few modifications of all the substance, okay. What the clairvoyance knows, clairvoyance knows only the material objects. Okay, that also with limitations to space, time, space, substance, space, time, and mode. Okay, and that also few modifications. Okay, in the telepathic knowledge, it knows the thoughts and the coming into the minds of other people, but that is also again material substance. Okay, and that also they know only the few modification, and the omniscience knowledge knows all the substance with all of their modification, past, present, and future. Okay, after knowing this 5, we come to the conclusion that for manifesting this right knowledge, right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct, and to walk on the path of liberation, uh, what we have right now, the sensory knowledge and scriptural knowledge, is enough to achieve that. Okay, and our objective of attaining the omniscience knowledge will also be solved by this sensory and scriptural knowledge. Okay, because they in the scriptural knowledge and the sensory knowledge, we have 5 senses and mind. Okay, so 5 senses knows only the material objects. 5 senses, through 5 senses, you are not able to know the soul, your own soul, right? But the mind, okay, mind knows soul substance also and material substance also. Okay, so mind is only the connections between 5 sense beings with mind and the other beings which don't have mind. Okay, mind is such a link which will help you to realize your soul, because mind knows material objects also and non-material objects like soul, medium of rest, medium of motion, space, and time. These 5 are arupi padarth. Okay, they don't have touch, taste, smell, and color. Okay, so mind knows both the objects, material objects and non-material objects. And that's why Himali shared a clipping from Moksha Marg Prakasak yesterday, right? In that clipping, Todarmalji has explained that mind serves both things, right? It knows the material object also and non-material object also. Okay. So here in Tattvad Sutra, they have only mentioned, there is another aphorism coming up, which says that through mind and sensory organs, you only know the material objects. But that is a general statement. If you go very deep, okay, at a subtle level, then mind knows material objects also and non-material objects also. And soul is a non-material objects, so it can only be known through mind. Okay, so it becomes an instrumental cause. Mind becomes an instrumental cause to know the souls. But when the experience arises, then mind also is at rest. Man pave vishram. Okay. Anubhav tako nam. Banaras Das ji in Sem5 Natak has written this. Okay. So when the experience arises, the mind also comes to rest. The function of the mind is no more there. Okay, because the experience is extrasensory, atindriya. Okay, it is devoid of mind and the senses. So so that clipping also you can read as a homework, and here also as a homework. We will move on to the next aphorism, that is aphorism number 30. Okay, so 29 up to 29 we covered. Now 30, 31, and 32, these 3 I am taking up because we have 13 minutes to go and we want to finish these 3 aphorisms. So we are at par with the Hindi batch also, and the next aphorism, that one aphorism will remain 33, that will take up in the next class. So first, in a single soul, how many types of knowledge can exist simultaneously. Okay, that is about aphorism number 13. Okay, so 1 to 4 types of knowledge can coexist at the same time in a single soul. 1 to 4. So if it is 1, it will be only omniscience knowledge. If it is 2, it will be sensory and scriptural knowledge. If it is 3, it will be sensory, scriptural, either clairvoyance or telepathic. Okay. If it is 4, then it will be sensory, scriptural, clairvoyance, telepathic. Okay. So 1 to 4 is what aphorism number 30 is all about. Now we move on to aphorism number 31. Okay. 31 also what it says, fallacy of knowledge. So while reading in Upyog chapter, we had divided knowledge into 8 divisions. So 5, this is 5 what we have read. Then 3 are false knowledge. Okay. What are these 3? So these 3 are Kumati, Kushrut, Kuavdi. Okay. So false sensory knowledge, false scriptural knowledge, and false clairvoyance knowledge. Okay. So that is all about aphorism number 31. So that we will read. The discussion on valid comprehensive knowledge in the form of right knowledge is now concluded, because these 5 were all forms of right knowledge. We now move on to the discussion of pramana bhas or fallacious valid knowledge. The relevant aphorism is aphorism number 31. Mati, let me read the Hindi one. Yeah. Ekadini okay. Okay, so 31. Okay. Mati Shruta Vadayo Viparya Satcha. Okay. So sensory knowledge, scriptural knowledge, and clairvoyant knowledge can also exist in distorted or false form. So 3 names will come: false knowledge, false sensory knowledge, false scriptural knowledge, and false clairvoyant knowledge. Why it is false? Can anyone answer? Why these 3 knowledge are false? Yeah, Somya.
So they can be of both types, false and true. If they are accompanied with Samyak Darshan, then they are called true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the cause is the false belief. Because of false belief, these 3 are false. Because of right belief, these 3 are right. So the knowledge in itself is never right or wrong. Knowledge is knowledge. But because of the belief, that same knowledge is called either right or wrong. If it is right belief, then all the knowledge is considered right. If it is false belief, then all the knowledge is considered false. Okay. So that is what is explained here. This means that among the 5 types of true knowledge, the first 3, sensory, scriptural, and clairvoyant, can also become false or erroneous. When these 3 forms of knowledge are accompanied by right belief, Samyak Darshan, they are considered right knowledge or comprehensive valid knowledge. But when accompanied by false belief, they become false knowledge or fallacious pramana bhas. Okay, false semblance of valid knowledge. On the other hand, telepathic knowledge and omniscience occur only in those with right belief. Okay. They can never be false forms of knowledge. These 2 are always in form of valid, comprehensive knowledge or praman. It must be clearly understood that the distinction between the right and wrong knowledge, between valid comprehensive knowledge and false semblance of knowledge, is determined solely by right belief and false belief. This is to say, all knowledge possessed by one with right belief is right knowledge. It is in the form of valid comprehensive knowledge. and all knowledge possessed by one with false belief is false knowledge. It is fallacious pramanabhas. Even if the sensory knowledge, scriptural knowledge, and clairvoyance of the deluded appear highly useful from a worldly perspective, ultimately they are still false knowledge, still only pramana bhas. Until right belief arises, such knowledge holds no spiritual value. Therefore, we must strive with full determination to attain right belief. Okay, that is Samyak Darshan. So this was about 31 aphorism. Now we are coming on to the aphorism number 32, and this will be the last aphorism that we are going to discuss today, and then we will conclude. Okay. The cause of falseness in knowledge. Okay. Again, same repetitions. Because of false belief, the false knowledge is there. Okay. So we will still read it out. In the previous aphorism, it was stated that sensory knowledge, scriptural knowledge, and clairvoyant knowledge can be false. The next aphorism now explore the reason why such knowledge becomes false. You know, why the reason is coming here, and why it was mentioned in the previous one. Because we are reading is a commentary. Okay. So what the commentators do, commentators explore something more than what is mentioned in the scripture, right? When you write commentary, you explain more. So that's why in the explanation, all things are causes were given. But Acharya Uma Swami kept another aphorism for that. So that's why it is the repetitions, because we are reading the commentary. Okay. But if you read only the aphorisms, 31 mentions only about 3 types of false knowledge. It doesn't mention what is the cause. What is the cause? That is mentioned in number 32. I'll read it out. Sada sator vishesha dacha choplabde runmatta vata. Just as a mad person, lacking the ability to distinguish between what is real and unreal, or considering both to be the same, ends up speaking randomly according to his whims. Because the example taken is of a mad person. Similarly, when one lacks clear discrimination between the real and the unreal, or sees them as equal, he ends up knowing things arbitrarily. Therefore, the knowledge of a one with false belief is inherently false. For example, a madman, unable to distinguish between his mother and his wife, may sometimes call his mother his wife and sometimes his wife his mother. Even if he happens to call his mother mother and his wife correctly at times, that correctness is still not considered valid, because he lacks true discernment between the two. The true discernment between the two. He has no awareness of a mother's sanctity. A mother is to be revered, while a wife is fit for indulgence. Without knowing the difference between the two, what meaning is there in his calling someone mother? He might just as well call his wife mother and his mother wife, because he is a mad person. Okay. In the same way, one who lacks discernment between the real and the unreal, between self and other, who has no recognition of what is truly one's own or alien, such a soul with false belief, mithya drashti, even if he occasionally says something correct, still remains one with false belief, because he doesn't have clarity about the 7 fundamentals, and he doesn't know the 7 fundamental elements clearly. That's why his belief is false. If he knows the nature of 7 fundamental elements correctly, then his belief will become right. That is because his faith is not right. He has no genuine discernment between self and non-self. No clear recognition of what truly belongs to the soul and what does not. For knowledge to be right knowledge, it is absolutely essential that belief be right, because the rightness of knowledge depends upon the rightness of belief. In Chedala, we also read that the knowledge and the belief have a relationship of cause and effect, right? If the cause is false, the effect is false. So right belief is the cause and right knowledge is the effect. Okay. There Pandit Daulat Ramji gave the example of the light and the lamp. Okay. If there is lamp, then there is light. So lamp is the cause and light is the effect. Similarly, belief is the cause and knowledge is the effect. Okay. So this explains that the cause of falseness is knowledge is because of the belief and there is no other cause. So all this leads us to the conclusion that we are positioned right now in such a manner that we can manifest right belief right now. With little bit of understanding, little bit of studying, little bit of analyzing, you will be able to manifest right belief now. Okay. This is something that you can do very well right now. Only you have to spare some time for yourself. You should have the intent. You should have the purpose. And then whatever you will read, you will always interpret it in the right sense. Because you have a purpose in mind. And why I am reading this? What's going to help me in this way? Okay. So if you make a practice by reading whatever comes to you in this manner, you are able to apply what is worth adopting and what is worth renouncing. Okay. Then you will always be able to interpret it in the right sense. Okay. So this was all about aphorism number up to 32. Okay. Now one aphorism in the first chapter is left, that is 33. Okay. And this has got a very long explanation of 30 pages in the Tatvarth Mani Pradeep book, Hindi. Okay. English would be some page later because English is a full A4 size and Tatvarth Mani Pradeep is, I think, A5, half of A4. Okay. But as far as the Tatvat Sutra is concerned, which is a part of our syllabus, this sutra only mentions the name of the 7. Okay. So only the name of the 7. So we will be reading the names also and the functions also, and not the 30 pages that is given here as explanation. Why this 30 pages is given? Because, they have adapted it straight from the book, Bharilji's book, Nai Chakra. Param Bhav Prakashak Nai Chakra. So there it was required to be explained in detail. But here in the original sutra, only the names are mentioned. So if you know fundamental meanings of those is enough. So we will do it in that sense in the next class. I will mark up you. Only we will see the definitions. Okay. We will not go into the detailed understanding of these. Okay. So this is how we are going to go forward. So 33, we will cover it up in the next class. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को